All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm welcome to Flight School Connector. This week, I'm Chris Moser from AOPA, and with us, we have our whole team. We've got our Executive Director for You Can Fly, Elizabeth Tennyson, with us, so say hi, Elizabeth. And then we've got Stephen Schroeder behind the scenes. Actually, we get to see you on here instead of on Don't Get Rusty. We better fix this, Stephen. We've got to keep it secret.
Oh, yeah.
But we're really excited today with our special guest. We've got Kevin Cortez with us, who is AOPA's social media marketer. So he's going to do a presentation and answer your questions and give you some really good tips on how to use social media. So before we get started, though, let's go ahead and go to the next slide and just do some of the important stuff, like acknowledging thanks to Sporty's Pilot Shop, who sponsors this program. So we want to thank them. And if you are not familiar with their dealer program for flight schools, please check it out right here. You got some information right on the slide. They'll do wholesale pricing and same day shipping for you. And they have lots of great stuff. I'm sure you're familiar with Sporty stuff. So if you're interested in becoming a dealer of Sporties, check out the program at sporties.com/dealer. All right, Kevin, go to that next one for me. So today's agenda, what Kevin's going to do is talk a little bit about the benefits, best practices, some warnings and case studies for social media use, how to manage it and keep it set for you, and then even how to use and potentially leverage paid social media. And then as a bonus topic, he's got some ideas for branding for you to do. So what I want to do is turn it over to Kevin. Take us through today and just dazzle us with information. So Kevin, I want to turn it over to you. Welcome.
Hang on one sec, Kevin. Sorry about that. Just a quick reminder to everybody, a little housekeeping. If you would mute your microphones when you're not talking, we're getting some feedback noise. So just to make sure everybody can hear. Thank you so much. Sorry about that, Kevin.
Cool.
Go ahead.
All good. How's it going, guys? Like Chris said, I'm Kevin Cortez. Been doing social media for AOPA for a few years now. And my background's it's just in aviation social media, so different businesses. Actually a flight school at one point, so this kind of ties in. So we want to start off with a poll real quick, kind of how comfortable you are with using social media to promote your flight school. If you've used it before, kind of how you feel about it. Is that going to be in the chat area or?
Yeah, go ahead, Stephen, roll that poll. And it should be popping up on your screen there, and you can see the results if you have the chat window open.
Yeah.
There it is. And one thing just to mention, everybody, you'll have a couple places you can click. One is that chat window, and feel free to type in questions. There's also a little figure that you can raise your hand. So if you have questions or wanted to say something or add something, just pop that in. That way we'll see it, and we'll make sure we call on you, because we'd love to hear from everybody as we go through the presentation today.
Sweet. It looks like it's kind of like evenly across the board here, and everybody's kind of used it, so that's good. We'll just move on to this next question then. If you guys want to type it out in the chat window, raise your hand. Kind of what your expectations are with social media regarding your flight school. Like what goals do you have with it as well?
So we'll give them a moment to think about that. Yeah. So it's like sort of, what are you hoping to get out of this? Where do you think might be useful to you when it comes to social media? Because that way, I know, Kevin, we discussed this a little bit too. It'll sort of help you sort of even tailor some of it as we go.
Yeah, gear the conversations. Yeah. You know what do you want to improve on if you're already doing something?
Yeah. In fact, we know lots of schools are using social media, so it's like, we've seen some examples, and we're going to show some case studies as well.
Yeah, definitely do that.
And again, if you're looking for that chat window, you'll look for that little thing. It looks like a little cartoon comic dialogue bubble or whatever. So you just click on that, and there's a space to put that in.
Cool. Phil Cook, increased business. We'll definitely talk about that. Less work. Okay, yeah. Could be a whole job for sure. We'll also touch on that.
Yeah, that's probably one of the things that I will have heard, is that people talk about how much time it takes and everything. So tips on how to do that.
For sure.
Maybe we'll give them just another moment, and feel free to like the stuff in the chat too.
Yeah, you guys can just like put it in whenever you'd like as well.
Okay.
And we'll just come back to it.
we go.
All right,
Just
so
that one out there. It's engage with customers, potential customers without overtly advertising. Man, did you pay
perfect.
that person, Kevin?
Yeah, they can just
That's
do
amazing.
the whole thing for me. Cool. So here's like a few best practices on how to use social media for your flight school. It is called social media for a reason. It's not like a billboard. You don't want to treat it like that the entire time. You want to tell a story of the people who are already within your school. So your students, you want to highlight solos, any accomplishments they make, new pilots, new ratings, anything like that. Telling those stories of, their journey through their training is awesome. Any flyouts you guys do, or anything cool, also tell that. And then a big one is also telling your staff story. So highlighting staff members, different CFIs, even receptionists, anything like that. It just creates that human connection with the business instead of it just being a logo or a website on there. And it gets people to know it, and it's less intimidating at the end of the day when people approach and want to go in there. Include a conversation. So yeah, and like if you can start it in the comments or in the messages, it's really easy to just reply with a link to like, rates or different courses. But if you start a conversation with potential customers, again, makes it, you break that barrier already of intimidation there. Yeah, so doing all those things creates a friendly face, human connection, and kind of breaks through those barriers that people might already have, like some assumptions of flight schools. And you can easily just break through them just by posting about the people who you already have. A huge one that we try to focus on at AOPA just to build GA is minimize jargon and acronyms. It's super easy to say GA, use a bunch of pilot talk all the time, and all that. We try to keep that at a very minimum and just spell everything out as simple as possible, because you got to place yourself in outside of the industry as a student who's barely starting and knows nothing. You might be intimidated, or you might not know what's going on if you include those all the time. And again, yeah, don't treat it like a billboard. It is cool, don't get me wrong, to post specials or anything like discovery flight specials if you have block rate specials or anything going on every once in a while, but I wouldn't push it too hard. Don't just put out posts with your rates on there or different prices for different courses. It kind of just it doesn't build the connection. It doesn't really do much. If you can build the connection on social media, they're going to go to your website and see all that anyway. So it's all about
Hey, Kevin.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask a question too, because I know that some of the folks had asked too, like sort of how to do that. So do you have any specific tips for that conversation part of it? I know you're going to show a case study later, but are there any things, general ideas or things that you would suggest for helping them do that? And obviously, I know we'll also talk about managing the time at later in the presentation as well. But just want to know if you had any special tips or like things that you've used to help get that conversation going. Do you have an approach you take with that?
Yeah, definitely. So you want to do like posts with call to actions, like, comments on the post or send you a message, like kind of ask them, kind of like we asked you guys, what are your goals, stuff like that, get the conversation going there. Or, simple stuff like where would you want to fly to? What would you do with your license? Or, you can also be a little snarky and, encourage people to get their commercial or instrument rating. Like we do that sometimes where we, Tom VFR pilots to like get a little more training in and all that. So stuff like that. And yeah, just getting that going and really encourage people to reach out to you at any time. And then we'll talk a little bit about, kind of managing that inbound a little later. But these are a few of the better practices here. Cool. And then, so building out your audience. So you already have the best ambassadors. You already know them. That's your staff and your customers. If you encourage them to follow you, tag you, share, and like post all over their social media, your handle. So for example, we use Fly with AOPA here. We encourage like all our employees to tag us, use our hashtags, promote our handles, and it'll just funnel back. They're kind of like your own little, it's your own little referral program. You can make it a staff requirement, or but for your customers, you can create some incentives, or just kind of get them to build a following. It's also cool being part of something bigger than yourself, especially when it comes to aviation. Everybody wants to talk about it. So if you, with that little push, it's pretty easy there.
Hey,
So
and
we were
could I ask real quick, what's the
yeah, go for
advantage to it, the tagging part when you put that at? I mean, and we know the following, obviously, it builds up an audience that when you post things, they'll see it. What does the tagging do for the
Yeah, of
businesses
course.
and people that are?
So like let's say one of your students solos and tags the flight school in their description, and two or three of their friends was like, oh, that's cool, let me go check that out. I've always thought about going in aviation. Go to your profile, and then that's how they find you. And one of their friends is already going there, and here we got a referral that way.
Cool.
So that's that's a good benefit for tagging. Thanks for bringing that up, Chris.
Mhm.
But yeah, consider incentives for people to follow or post. It's super simple. Like if you want to do giveaways on social media, we can dive into that a little bit, where you can have do a post. Hey, we're giving out a T-shirt or a discovery flight, and tag two friends below that you would take, and follow our profile. Something like that would be pretty simple. And also with your existing customer base, if like they just show you, hey, followed you guys, posted and tagged. You guys give away simple stuff like a sticker or anything like that. They have branding of, or whatever you can be creative with that, whatever you want to give away or incentivize people with. So talking about going back to, let me go back to the slide about you telling a story of your, customer, students, and CFIs. To curate those stories, I mean, they're already happening at your school every day. And I guarantee you, your CFIs are probably filming as well during the flights. If you can get them all to, at the end of the day, put them somewhere, or like send them whoever ends up being in charge of the social media, that'd be great. Again, you don't have to post every solo or every check ride pass or all that as it's happening. You can bank those up like in a doc, Susan X passed her instrument check ride. This is kind of her story, and you obviously get their consent that you're going to post it on their social media and everything. But you can bank those up and post them as you see fit and schedule those out, so it's a little easier. So when there's like dead periods, you have stuff to post about in relation to storytelling a little bit more. You can also, find funny but appropriate content. You got to be careful with the memes. Some of them are appropriate. We did a couple during the Super Bowl and like during major events. So following trends and like playing off of those. It doesn't have to be a hard sell or anything, just a funny thing to mention. And those will do pretty well, but you just got to be careful with those. Then our last point is I don't know if you guys have played around with like Instagram Live or Facebook Live, YouTube Live, any of those. A good ways to use those are kind of like it kind of ties back to the conversation, is hold Q&As. Like, if anybody has questions about flight training, we're doing a 30-minute live at 2 on Instagram or Facebook. Or you can even do like, private pilots ground school Q&A with a CFI, and just kind of open that up on live, and people can ask questions, from literally anything from like how do you start to somebody actually studying for their PPL. But yeah. Anybody have any questions on that? Just go ahead and
Yeah,
bring it up.
there are a couple in the chat there, Kevin, too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you got one is, I don't know, well, maybe we'll go to Lonnie's first. It says, has anyone encountered, he's just asking the group as well, mandatory Facebook advertising to be able to continue posting to your own business account? Have you heard of that at all, Kevin? Or
I have not. But if she wants to email me on the side, she totally can.
okay.
That's kevin.cortez@aopa.org, and we can probably walk her through that. No, I've not heard of that. So
And then
and then
some,
Lori.
oh yeah, Laurie. So you see that one? Go ahead.
Yeah. So Lori, it depends. So on Facebook, when somebody tags you, you will get notified on your Facebook page, like, hey, they tagged you. Unless they post to your wall, it won't appear on your Facebook page. So they could post to the page and then it will, but if they post on their own profile, it'll just notify you, hey, you got tagged. you can then go in there and repost it into your profile if you want to do that. So it's just share, to your page. Again, if anybody has questions after this, I can answer it too and walk you through this after. But on Instagram, yeah, if they tag you, it will show up on your tagged photos. Twitter, it won't. It'll just notify you like Facebook. But yeah, hopefully that answered your question there.
And then there was, cool, sorry. There was one thing too that Jamie mentioned. She said dead periods, ha ha ha. And I know what she means is like she's crazy busy running the school. And there's like no time. But I think you meant something different by the dead periods. Not so much dead periods at the school's business, but
So posting different student achievements, and those don't happen every day, right? So you won't have one every day to post. So if you bank those up as they're coming, if they come in bunches, usually. So so you can have those to spread out. Is basically what I'm saying. So kind of like evergreen content, really. You can decide when to post those up. Hope that.
And I think you'll get into I think a slide coming up. You'll talk a little bit about this, how to schedule that out, or
I think so. Oh, here's a little warning here. Yeah, I wouldn't touch politics, religion, any kind of current issues going on. Be careful with your personal profiles. So I'm talking about like your own personal, where you follow family and friends profiles. Whatever you post on there will 99% of the time be associated with your business. Speaking from experience, I've dealt with that with the different companies I've worked for. Is employees posting things and immediately the company gets backfire from it. We're not trying to police anybody's viewpoints or anything, but just keep that in mind that it will be associated with your business, whatever you post on your personal profile most of the time. And these things are permanent. People will screenshot it and it'll live forever, unfortunately. But yeah.
And,
I saw.
Hey, Kevin.
Yeah.
We've got a question in the chat that I think is one we need to address. You kind of touched on it, but do you get permission from your customers to post an image of them?
Yeah. So you can, if you have a good relationship with them, just a conversation would work. But if you want to get legal about it, you can get releases. But most of the time, in my experience, people are more than happy to be featured on social media and tagged and everything. They kind of love that clout, and then they'll reshare it. Especially if they're a customer already, and they've got a relationship with the flight school. I'm sure they wouldn't mind doing any of that.
Good question. It is important to ask and get that permission.
Yeah, I think it's huge to ask. Yeah, for sure. Even if it's verbal. Yeah, make sure they don't get blindsided. Hey, you got tagged in this story. Cool. But yeah. So here's the next one. So what are your favorite accounts to follow, and what platforms do you guys mainly use? If you guys can toss that in the chat. I just kind of want to get a feel for, it could be any account, Instagram, Facebook, flying or non-flying, any brand really. Just kind of want to see what you guys already follow.
So yeah, feel free to throw that in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand and say it verbally as well, we're happy to do that. So just let us know.
Seeing that a lot of the questions are referring to Facebook, so I think that's probably a
Facebook,
main one.
Sure.
Kevin, I don't know if you're going to talk about this a little later, but there are some differences in the audiences you're reaching with these different platforms, aren't there?
There are, and that's the next slide, actually.
Oh, then I will leave it alone. We'll wait.
Good call. All right, that's a good question on the groups. So it's I'll just touch on the group question real quick. It's kind of difficult to interact on a group as a business. But what you can do is create your own groups under your own page. So you can create groups for, private pilot students, instrument students, commercial, or just like aviation interests. And people will, you can get your own audience to join, your customers, all that, and then they can invite others, and it'll kind of build. And then once you get people in there and talking, the algorithm will actually suggest it to other people who are interested in aviation and flight school and everything. So I think that's a good use of groups for a business, because if you post in a group like that's not yours as a business, it looks kind of salesy, and people won't engage with it too much. Let's see, what else did we get here? Okay, I haven't got much traction on Instagram. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the channels a little bit on the next one. We'll touch on the Instagram question here. So yeah, so we, like Elizabeth said, different channels, different audiences, and different ways to use it. Facebook is a good place to attract a really wide audience. It usually trends older most of the time though, and it's a good place for conversation. Like setting up groups, customer service through like messages and all that. So that's kind of what you want to use Facebook for, and keep in mind the demographic on that. Instagram, it's kind of scales down the age range. I'd say like you're going to target more 20 to 34-year-olds on Instagram. That's a good place to not only post stories of your staff, students, achievements, all that, but also cool flying stuff. Like if you want to just post a cool video like some of your staff or some of your students got like while flying, that'll do really well there, and it'll just spread on its own organically. So that's a great place to do that, where it's kind of just free advertisement if it takes off, and you don't have to do anything salesy about it. It's just cool flying. Everybody likes that. Twitter, a bit like Facebook, reach a wider audience. Also, one of the more touchy ones, if you post something a little wrong or anything like that, kind of like going on a warning or on politics, religion, current issues. So be mindful of that. Really good place for customer service and kind of engaging and creating a conversation there by setting up questions. You can set up polls there, and getting people to start conversations there is really good.
And what's
So
the age range on Twitter? Because I know you mentioned the other ones.
Twitter, it's kind of like Facebook. It's kind of everywhere.
Okay.
It's like a huge wide one. Yeah, that one's very general. So TikTok, I don't know if any of you have tried that, but it's where all of Gen Z is, and all of Alpha. I think that's the next one called. That one, we're actually just getting into that this year. And that one, you can do a good example of that is the FAA actually started using it, and they started doing some safety stuff on there. But I'll get to the Instagram question there, Lori. But on TikTok, yeah, it's a good place to just post cool flying videos. You can do step by steps, like you can do a quick 30 second, like this is how you do a pre-flight. Obviously, you're more thorough in real life, but for people who don't know, that's that you have to do a pre-flight before flying. It's a cool way to introduce them to it. Kind of on TikTok, I would balance it with educational stuff about flying and introducing people to concepts. Very simple stuff like different airplanes, fuel uses, pre-flights, takeoffs, landings. Very, very basic stuff. Don't overwhelm people. And then really cool flying videos, because everybody just loves watching those and sharing those. And yeah, like I said, that's a super young audience. So it's like, even like my cousins who are 8 years old are saying like that's all they use. So it's kind of crazy. But yeah, that's how you get the younger crowd nowadays. You could use LinkedIn if you'd like. That's a good one if your focus is more on advanced ratings and kind of the commercial side, or if there's even a tie into a 135. That one's more industry based, less like people looking out for offers or looking out to join or for a business or anything like that. But it's a good place to network and for people to know your business, for professionals to know it. We use it just to post mostly industry news, advocacy stuff, for example, and connect with those people. And then finally, Pinterest. That one's a funny one. It's kind of like TikTok, kind of a younger crowd, and it's a cool place. It's not necessary, I wouldn't say, for a flight school business, but if you want to dive into it, it's always great. You can post different boards and stuff of cool flying stuff. It's really less storytelling, more aesthetically pleasing things. So that's kind of an easy one to just post cool flying things and forget about it. So let's see, Laura, can you post on Instagram? Yeah, so Lori, so what I'd suggest there is you can email me. I'll send you a link to what we use to download other photos. There's two options. You can use that, or you can just ask the poster for the image. And yeah, so a good thing to do is always ask them through a direct message or a comment if you can use their photo, and give them credit in the caption of who took the photo. 90% of the time they'll be totally okay with it. If they're a professional photographer or something, they might want to charge you, but most of the time you're good to go. But yeah, you can email me again, Kevin.Cortez with an S at AOPA.org, and I can send you those links to those resources that we use to download the photos if the poster doesn't have it. I think.
And Kevin, and just one thing I wanted to ask, because I know that I've heard of some schools using YouTube, and I just don't think of the list we created, we didn't put on there. But you think YouTube's a decent one too, or?
Yeah, YouTube's a really good one. So you can do a couple things on YouTube. Is do it like TikTok or Instagram, where you post educational stuff, quick rundowns of how to's or kind of showing people, because people are you gotta treat YouTube like Google, where it's like SEO. So when people search how to pre-flight, you should have a how to pre-flight video, right? Or how to fly, how to get your pilot's license. You can do a quick video on how to get started on that. So yeah, focusing on those hot topics on YouTube is good. And then also, again, cool flying stuff. Like, that never fails. So if you have like cool flying video, that would be awesome.
I heard you mention too SEO. Do you want to just for those that may not know what that is?
Oh yeah, search engine optimization. So keywording. So think about what people Google or search for on YouTube. Most of the time I'm searching how to do something on YouTube. I don't know if that's how everybody is, but yeah, that's how people will kind of find you on YouTube most of the time, is kind of making sure to include keywords in your titles and keywords in your descriptions that kind of relate to the video, depending on what you're doing. But yeah, hopefully that explains that. Awesome. I think I got everything there. Cool. Here are a few case studies, kind of going all over the place. So there's a couple schools: Aspen Flying Club, Vegas Aviation, and Greenville Aviation. They're posting solos and I think an instrument rating check ride. So they'll tag the pilot who completed that task and kind of include photos of that day or them prepping. So it's kind of cool. Breaks the barrier of it's like, hey, or people will look at it and be like, hey, that's kind of like me. I can do it too. Instead of just thinking like, all the photos on the website or anything they read, those preconceived notions of flight schools or aviations can be broken by like simple posts like this, and it creates kind of like a community, right? So it kind of inspires you and it makes you want to join that group. So those are a few examples there. If you guys want to follow them, also they post good stuff. Actually, let me go back, and I actually have a video I want to show you. So Vegas Aviation put out a video. It's goes back to cool flying stuff, but at the same time including the flight school in that. So I'll go ahead and play that. Keep in mind you don't have to use this type of music, but any modern music would be appreciated. And some kind of music that's not super stock. But here we go.
I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. I shoot a shot. I'm coming in hot. Yeah, coming in hot. Just like the fajita. I write what I live. My life in the speaker. I'm nice with the flow. Just like the demeanor. I'm feeding my fam. I'm feeding the meter. They got the iron while I got the steamer. I bring the fire, but you never seen her. I testify, I don't need a subpoena. They want my soul, better go to Korea. I love my dog just like I'm Peter. Gotta protect them. I made the call up with just like I'm reffing. I know we left here, now we back together, but I guess that is better now. Later than never, like, what's happening? I'ma need y'all quit asking when. Me and my wife gon'
Sweet. So yeah, again, don't have to. Hold on, swap this real quick.
Yeah, obviously you could choose different music if you're not.
Yeah, obviously choose different music.
She wasn't a fan.
But I thought it was a cool video. It includes photos of the staff, students, cool flying. I personally wouldn't have not included the spin training in that because that might
Scare people.
scare some people off for doing primary stuff. But yeah, so that type of thing for video and all
But
that.
again, like depending on your audience, right? That's going to potentially reach out and then.
Yeah,
and like,
definitely.
yeah.
So I mean, if you are all about CFI and spin training, go for it. But yeah, depending on your audience, music and all that. Cool. So management, I know some people had questions at the beginning of how to deal with it, and sometimes it gets busy. So what I would do is assign one person to it, or a few, and have a schedule. Make it part of their job duties. I guarantee you have somebody on staff that's really good at social, be it a CFI or somebody on staff. And if if they can't get to it all the time, all day, treat it like a voicemail box where you check it like once or twice a day, reply to messages, post a story, post a post, anything like that. But have like a scheduled time a day. It doesn't have to be, spending hours on it. You can spend, 30 minutes to an hour on it a day and really knock it out for these purposes. You definitely have social media savvy staff on hand. I guarantee it, especially with CFIs. I mean, we get tagged all the time and we see posts from CFIs all the time flying around. So take advantage of that and use it for your benefit, for your own content, instead of just on their personal stuff.
Quick
Sweet.
question for you,
Yeah.
Kevin. So you make a point here that you really need to be consistent about this. What does that look like? Do I need to post something every day, once a week, once a month? What do I need to do?
So I would definitely do once a day. So really plan to post something once a day. It doesn't have to be a picture of a solo every day. It could be different things. But definitely once a day. Nowadays, like the way like me and like my friends look at things, or if we check on like on a brewery or something, like see if it's still open. We go to their social media. If they haven't posted in a month or a couple of weeks, we're like, are they okay? So we don't go to like Google anymore to like check like business hours or anything. Most of the time it's just like Instagram or Facebook and check in, see when they're open, what the current updates are and all that. So yeah, definitely be consistent because that's something people are aware of now, is going through their social and checking that out. But yeah,
Another related question. So if I'm short-staffed and I'm asking one person to do this as part of their job duties, is it okay to post the same thing across all those different platforms? Or should I really be customizing what I post to the platform?
So yeah, if it's the bare minimum you can do, it's all right. But I would customize it. That definitely would give you a bigger bang for your buck. But it's not the end of the world if you're squeezed for time, and that's what you got to post. But definitely, I would customize for each platform. And as you, we'll get into it now in analytics down here. But as you post and as you learn what your audience likes, you'll be able to kind of you'll know what to create for each platform essentially, when you figure out content performance. And
so we have a question related to that from Leanne. She wants to know daily as in Monday through Friday or all 7 days a week?
I would do all 7 days a week. Yeah, because you got to think about it. Most people, you'll find your ideal times off the analytics. I'll dive into that, of when to post during each day. You'll see when your followers are most active. And then one of the most active days is actually Sunday. So a lot of people are, done with their weekend and just kind of scrolling through social media at home or wherever they are. Sunday, afternoon onwards is pretty busy. So you don't want to miss out on weekend traffic. And also like a lot of like current events happen on the weekends, or major things you can just jump on and make jokes on or kind of make posts related to that. So definitely 7 days a week. Let's see, Phil. Yeah, once a day. Definitely to keep yourself relevant. And I personally don't think it's too much noise if it's done right. I understand that point. There are some accounts that just post kind of nonsense, and you're like, all right, guys. But if it's done right and you're telling a cool story and it's relatable and it's good content and you're not posting just to post, then once a day is definitely a good move there. Cool. We'll dive into analytics here real quick. So these are free on each platform. You know, when you have a Facebook business profile or an Instagram business profile, and any Twitter account, you can pull up your analytics on there. It's pretty easy to find on each page, and you can see your demographics, you know, where they are, what their age is, you know, their sex. It used to be you can even dive into education and all that, but they took that away. But the more important part, I think, is knowing what content plays the best. And you'll see that you can either see that through each post, through individual analytics for each post, or go on the overall picture of posts and see what's performing best. And that's how you kind of learn what to put on what channel, and how do you create it for each channel, and kind of what does better. Sometimes you'll post stuff that you'll be like, this won't do well, and it'll crush. Like, it'll do so well, and that's kind of, you know, the learning curve of it, where you'll do stuff where you're like, this is going to be amazing, and won't do anything. But that's just the game. And it's cool that we have analytics to back that up, and all that. See if we have any questions here. That's a good point on the music. Most of it, so Instagram's gotten really good about that, where you can put it on reels and stories. And they'll actually include the artist's name automatically, so they won't pull your post for copyright. They'll actually just credit the artist. So that's really cool. But yeah, on YouTube and Facebook, I would be careful with that. There are like a bunch of sites with free royalty-free music you can check out. That's not bad. If you just quick Google will get you there. Lonnie, I could show, if you want to email me after, I can show you, walk you through the demos. It's kind of a process to share right now, but yeah, I can definitely walk you through that, no problem. So using paid social media, this is digital ads, really what it is. So it's targeting. You can get super specific about it. You can get also really broad about it. So for example, you know, AOPA offers an eFERC. For that, when we do digital ads on social for that, we target it super specifically for CFIs and flight schools and that whole group of people trying, you know, that are probably due for their FERC or you know, will be eventually. So we'll get super specific on that. But then there's other things where, you know, if you're doing, you know, you're promoting a Discovery Flight special, or, you know, a holiday special, we can broaden that out huge to anybody who's ever looked into aviation, flight training, or anything like that, of all ages. And that's you know, it's super easy, and it's kind of scary how easy it is when you're creating an ad of how to create your audiences. It's like, how do they have this much data? But hey, we're going to take advantage of it and target these people. It'll also show you on the analytics of the ads, your ROI on it, if it's performing well, if it's not. It'll actually suggest to you to like broaden your audience or shrink it. So that's not bad. The content you want to use on there, since it is targeting and it is an ad, it could be a little more salesy, so you can push out you know, specials, rates, different courses. So that's no problem there. The people who are getting targeted are already probably engaged with your page, or already engaged with other similar pages. So no big deal, and it kind of goes well. It doesn't go over salesy, since it is a sponsored post. Cool. And then so you can use those on all, so you can do Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. All of them have this ability to put digital ads on. And then
is that just something you can find a link somewhere that says, I want to advertise with you, or is it relatively easy to find, or just search for it?
Yeah, easy to find on each one. So for Instagram, you actually do it through your Facebook page, since they're linked. It'll ask you to link them, and you'll link it. But yeah, it's literally as easy as create an ad on them. And then on Twitter, it's create sponsored content. I think that's what it was. I don't know if they've changed the phraseology, but yeah, it's pretty easy to find on your page. And it'll even ask you for individual posts, like, do you want to boost this post? They want to get as much money out of you, but yeah. So you won't miss it. Sweet. So we'll go to the last part. So I think branding's a cool plus where you can bring the whole digital community into real life, and the whole, referral and tagging into real life. Vegas Aviation has these shirts that are really cool that they give away to new students, to I think it was Discovery flights and some other stuff. But yeah, creating a merch and recognizable branding, I think it's huge. Not only for social, just having that branding that's instantly like, oh, hey, I know that name or that logo. But also, people like being part of a community and something cool. It's flying. I have a best tug shirt, and I don't have an airplane. I don't have a tug. I just like the brand. So it's just it's another way to connect with your customers and kind of get free advertisement, really, because they'll be wearing it, tagging it, all that. It could be anything. You can get creative with it. Those are just some really simple examples, but you can do flight bags, fanny packs, whatever you want.
And this could even be some of the stuff you do as a giveaway, right, for the incentives we talked about
Yeah,
earlier.
exactly. Yeah.
So,
If you tag us, here's a t-shirt, or here's a keychain, or if you follow, all that. This could be part of the giveaway. A lot of stuff. Yeah. So you can get creative with it, and you can always sell it too if it's once you got a good brand going. But that's the way to do it. And then cool. We're gonna Quirk review. So yeah, the whole point of it is social media will broaden your audience to people you think you probably wouldn't reach otherwise. It'll break that barrier of preconceived notions and kind of create a human connection with your staff and students. And be like, oh, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. And they look friendly, instead of it just them scrolling through a website or Google of like all these flight schools. And you'll definitely reach people you never thought you'd reach. It's kind of what we see. Definitely be social. Don't just post and forget about it. Definitely reply to comments, messages. Try to engage with your audience. Don't take them for granted. It's a kind of a two-way street, not just one. And yeah, being consistent is huge. I think for definitely don't let it go dead for months on end. It's not good. It just kind of it kills your audience that you were already engaging with if you had something good going, but it also has that like, hey, are they still in business look. So that's just something to be aware of there. And then go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was just gonna go ahead and I've got questions for you, but
okay, so yeah, if you have a question right now,
there we go, because it's the Q&A.
Yeah.
So obviously we want to open it up to everybody. If you want to type a question in the chat, just anything that you're thinking about to ask Kevin, or any of us, of course. And then also, if you want to raise your hand and ask a question that way as well, we're glad to bring you to the front and let you do that. But one of the things that I was wondering when you were talking about some of the managing part, and I know that I am like very much a hot and cold social media user, where it's like with my own just my personal stuff. Sometimes I'm on there to look at it, and sometimes I don't look at it for a week, and it's probably because I'm old. But so the thing that I'm wondering there is that you were talking about you're putting these posts out every day, and then I do know, because I do follow things on YouTube and stuff like that, and you like to see that engagement, but then you'll see posts that are on there that then people will be commenting on, and then the original poster is just long since seems to have abandoned it. How much time does that take up, though? What is your experience with you trying, like, as you keep putting posts out and then you're trying to respond to all of them? What's your experience in the amount of time it takes to try to keep that, or can you let some of them go after a while?
Yeah. So it does take a while. So that's a huge part of it, is just managing the inbound. Because you got to treat it like any other inbound, right? Even if it's like an email or call or anything. It is a lead after all, each comment, each message. So you got to treat it that way. But after a while, they'll start tapering out the past posts, and you can start letting those go, because those same people will eventually engage with the new stuff, and you can answer them there, or they'll hit you directly if something comes up on like an old post that you haven't touched on for a bit. So yeah, you can let it go after a while. I don't think there's a specific timeline. You'll see them die after, like, depending on the page. Not die in a bad way just because they're getting old and new content's coming in and taking up that audience. So
cool. Hey, it looks like we've got a hand up from is it Tomas. So please feel free to unmute, Tomas, and tell us what your question is.
Okay, hi, this is Tomas. Sorry, I don't know why I couldn't figure out how to chat, so I guess I'll just ask a bunch of questions now.
No worries.
So,
Sure.
couple questions. We've been kind of doing a lot of different experiments with social media. Would you think it's uncommon or normal for, we've been talking about even posing, like sometimes we try to like take pictures of our students doing stuff, but sometimes it's really hard because we're usually pretty busy. So having one of the instructors run around with a camera, or I'm running around with a camera, it's kind of difficult. Is it worthwhile? Is it normal to just say, hey, you know what, let's take 10 minutes and let's set this up? Or is that kind of uncommon? Or are we going in the wrong direction with that?
Yeah. So what kind of setup? What are you trying to set up?
I don't know. We're kind of trying to tell the story of a day to day.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's hard to get the picture of the day to day because you're too busy kind of doing your thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super uncommon to set up simple stuff like, somebody pre-flighting or, somebody doing maintenance, stuff like that. Not crazy. And just don't treat it like a photo shoot. And I think you'll be fine, and just have it kind of casual. And then, people focus on like you brought a camera, like people focus on GoPros, DSLRs and all that. Like really quality doesn't matter. It's mostly about the story. So like this is the best camera. If you have like a CFI who's just like out there, or like, a student who can just snap a quick photo or something, bam. And like you can put it all together. But yeah, not super uncommon. It would look super staged if it's, a pro photographer and like, people who are not sweating in the middle of summer and stuff like that.
Okay, if I can ask a couple more questions, actually.
Yeah.
Real quick. You mentioned about posting. Now we kind of focus a little bit more on Instagram and kind of feed that to our Facebook. Are you saying stories or actually posting on kind of the wall of Instagram and Facebook, or does it matter either or?
Yeah. So, yeah, good question, and something I should have brought up earlier. So yeah, so when I was saying stories is like posting, staff backgrounds, people passing solos, check rides, all that. But yeah, stories on Instagram are huge. Those should be used, as much as possible. It's hard to do, I know sometimes, because it's a whole other thing. But that's a cool way to do some behind the scenes stuff, some more raw things. Kind of less refined. So even just posting of you guys flying in the air, or like a CFI doing a flight, or somebody getting in an airplane. It's super simple stuff like that on your Instagram stories. I think works great and gives people that like kind of look behind the curtain of like how it is when they get there, and when they start flying. But yeah, but on the actual feed and Facebook wall, definitely want to get a little more detailed, a little more content on there.
Okay. We've also kind of tried collaborations with local businesses, kind of saying, oh, I don't know, like a company, they gave away a gift certificate for their business, and we gave away an intro flight. Is there anything you would recommend in terms of that, or any direction?
Yeah, so you can do it a couple ways, depending on what business it is. I would try to focus on like businesses that like have overlapping audiences. So for that, it's kind of like, sports, boating, camping, anything that's a little more like outdoorsy or active. Those usually overlap with aviation. Skiing and snowboarding is a big one. So if you can do like a dual giveaway with something like that, where especially if it's social based, where it's like, hey, follow both of our accounts, comments a friend or tag a friend and have them follow too. Each comment is an entry or something like that. That would be good. And then again, you can also do that yourself on your own page without any collaboration. Going like, hey, we're giving out 2 discovery flights. Tag a friend below, follow us, type of deal. But yeah, if you're going to do it with a business, I would do it something where the audience would overlap, and because that would give you most success on like them actually turning into a student.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Tomas. And we've got a question in the chat too, Kevin. Back to Lonnie, just up above. He says, have you heard of Facebook ransom? We've been trying to post, but they only let us go to an advertising page. When this happens, we cannot post for weeks or months. So any...
I have not, but yeah, they can email me, see what we can do to help them.
Okay.
See if we can work around that. But I have not heard of that.
Cool. And then we have, then we also have, let's see. Oh, somebody asked about it will be live, and so Stephen got it. So yes, if you're looking for this recording afterwards, look on the AOPA live. I think it's on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken, Stephen, and you'll be able to watch this later or share it if anybody else wants to see it as well, if you find it useful.
Okay.
Or,
Yeah.
Tag it, share us, whatever.
Yeah, tag it. And is there an incentive? Is there a prize? Or was it undying admiration? What was that thing, Stephen, we saw in the one thing?
Yeah.
Gratitude, that's what it was. Undying gratitude.
Undying gratitude.
All right.
Cool.
Well, if anybody else has any questions, now's the time to ask. I know that I think there's one more slide, if I'm not mistaken, Kevin.
Yeah, there is actually.
Let's go to that one. And you've got a reminder that's popping up on your desktop is blocking part of the view. If you can see that thing, it says yeah, there you go. Thanks. So if there's anything else you need, one of the things we're working on for next month is we're going to see if we can get a topic, get some folks from our insurance or from the insurance industry to answer some questions. But please let us know if you've got topics, things that you're interested in as well. Let us know and just email us. But still, we've got Kevin here just for a few more minutes. So if you do have any questions, now's the time to ask. Anything for social media. And then time commitment wise too, it's like I know you mentioned that's probably the thing that I know I keep asking about. Oh, here we go. So someone's got a question. Ian says,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So what are your favorite tools for monitoring social media? Good question, Ian. So, there is Hootsuite, there is like Social Sprout. There are those different softwares you can use to monitor your social. If you are going to go that route, you do have to pay for it after the trial is over. The free version is just not worth it. But if you're going to do that, I would recommend Sprout Social. That's probably the best one. But actually, my favorite thing to do is avoid those. And you can go the free way and just on each, like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of them have really good, insights and analytics and actually like engagement sections where it'll show you, all your replies, all your comments, messages, and it'll also show you your top performing contents and your top replied tos and all that. So that's what I would suggest if you're not doing it on a major scale, is just going off of the apps and websites alone. I wouldn't say it's necessary to have that third-party software unless you're really have a full-time social person and you're going to do that whole route and really commit to it at that level. But I don't think it is necessary. Are there any particular hashtags that you found perform well on Instagram? Yeah, so you can. A cool way to do it is create your own hashtag. So we have hashtag Fly with AOPA. If you want to, you can create your own hashtag for your business and get that going. But there always are good ones. So what I suggest you do on Instagram is you go to the search feature and you can start typing in like aviation or aircraft or flying, and it'll actually, and then you go to tags and it'll show you the top hashtags. So, and then you can, use those and throw them in your posts if you want, and they'll be thrown into that bucket of those posts. So that's a good way to find the top hashtags there. Let's see. My Facebook business page keeps, let's see, Leanne Whittle. My Facebook business page keeps advertising the chat window that we can pop up on our website that will direct customers to our message. What is your experience personally on the publishers? Okay, so good question. I find it annoying too. And I think it's should be used sparingly. Like I'm talking like once every 6 months. Like if you have something cool you want to tell all your followers, or if you have an offer that is insane, or if I don't know if there's like a Black Friday thing you guys do, something like that. Or just checking in with everybody if you want to do it that way, but very sparingly, because otherwise it's super easy to get annoyed from getting messages from somebody you didn't even engage with. But yeah, that's a tool you should keep in mind for at least once or twice a year. Let's see, should we keep our content original or repost content from the that might benefit? So yeah, good question there. So I would keep it mostly original, as much as you can of your own within your own staff and everything. But it is also really good to post, if AOPA posts something, or somebody like the Finer Points or anybody in aviation that would benefit your students and instructors, definitely repost that content, share it. If it's a cool video with a good lesson, share it for sure. And great question there. Definitely should share that stuff. But yeah, I would keep most of it original, I would say. Cool.
It's almost like curating in that sense the educational context, and I'll do that. I'll often see stuff in Bold Method, but every once in a while something pops up that's really relevant to a student, and so it's like I share that with them, saying, like, "Hey, look, we were just talking about this. Check this out."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Yeah. No, you're totally right. We share stuff sometimes, like on our social, on AOPA social, that's not ours. That's like, hey, this was really good content. This video has a really good lesson in it, or yeah, come check it out. So it's really good.
Cool. All right. I know we're coming to the end of our hour. So last chance if you have any questions to ask, because we're gonna sign off here in just a moment. But while we're just giving people a moment if they want to ask any last minute questions, I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Kevin, especially for taking the time to help us out with this. I know I posted your email on there that you mentioned a couple of times, which is kevin.cortez@aopa.org, and super generous in the sense of being willing to help folks out if they have any questions about social media. So appreciate you being here, Kevin.
Of course, it's been fun.
And I think that said, Elizabeth, it might be time to wrap things up. Oh, yep. Thank you, everybody.
Yep, time to wrap it up. And don't forget to drop us an email with your ideas or thoughts or questions, things you'd like us to cover. We're here for you. We are fortunate to have people who do a lot of different things here at AOPA, so we can bring in guests like Kevin. So if there are things that you think would be helpful to your business, please drop us an email at the address here on the slide, ftinitiative@aopa.org, and we will try to do one of these on that content.
Very cool. In fact, that's where this one came from for us. So please do that. Let us know.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Kevin. And thanks to everybody who joined us today.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.